Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, me and Karen, a love story. Asshole manager destroyed my childhood game store, so I got him fired. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Me and Karen, a love story. Just kidding. Karen is a total bitch, but buckle up because here is my novel. My husband and I are in our late 30s and child-free. Some people on child-free said I should post here too, so enjoy the saga. My husband and I had been saving up for almost a decade to move to a tropical paradise. About 2 years ago, we bit the bullet and moved to our dream location. Housing here is super expensive, like Hawaii prices, so all we could afford was half of a duplex. It is beautiful and on the water with places for our boat. Unfortunately, Karen, Billy Bob, the boyfriend, and her 3 gremlins live in the other unit. Setup. There is some period of time we just went for a week here and there, but we live here full-time now. The entire duplex was owned by an older gentleman who rented out both sides. The sides do not match at all. One side is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. The other side of the duplex is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. We bought the 5-bedroom. On our side of the property, we have 90% of the backyard, a gazebo, and dockage, about 150 since it is on a corner. The other side has a small backyard, patio, and maybe 15 of dockage. The rental leases say the renters are entitled to their specific backyards, but there were no fences or anything, so all the renters shared the entire backyard. After we bought the house, Karen immediately tried to throw her weight around that they expected to continue with that privilege. I told her if she asked politely, we would try to accommodate her. She thought this meant she could use our backyard whenever she wanted. Party incident. One day my husband and I are enjoying some drinks outside when a delivery truck shows to set up a giant blow-up thing in our backyard. I asked Karen WTF she thought she was doing, and she said it was her kid's birthday. Then she had the gall to say it was a family and friends only event, so we had to stay inside our house. Not wanting to be a total asshole and ruin some little girl's birthday, I told Karen after this she had no access to our backyard, period. Karen shrugged and kept setting up for the party. During the party, a drunk adult wandered into our house which shocked us all. I said Karen's house is the other side and he said, oh, Karen said she owned the whole property and to use whichever bathroom was available. I directed him to Karen's bathroom and soon after she came storming into our house, screaming about how dare we make her look bad to her friends and how selfish we couldn't even spare one bathroom. She said we didn't deserve all this space with just us. I told Karen to get the hell out of my house, or I would be calling the cops. She finally left and the party wrapped up shortly after. Backyard remodel. After the party incident, we decided we needed to clearly define the backyard and build a fence. While we were spending the money, we decided to update the patio, put in a fire pit, and an outdoor kitchen. While the contractor was on site, nosy Karen had to come investigate. Since the fence would be the last thing built, I was vague and just stuck to telling her about the patio update. You could see her face light up because of course in her mind, what's ours is hers. When the workers started on the fence, Karen came out screaming for the work to stop. I went outside and told the workers to keep working and told Karen to butt out. Of course in true Karen fashion, she called the cops. What happened next was hilarity on my part after explaining to the cop that we were building a fence on our property and the landlord, of which Karen was not, knew about it. When the cop gave Karen a stern lecture, I thought her head was going to explode. She went back into her house and slammed the sliding door so hard it sounded like something cracked. We got our fence and I thought that would be in the end, but of course not. The boat incident. One day, Billy Bob entered the picture, and he was as much a terrible neighbor as Karen. He would throw cigarette butts and empty beer cans over our fence for disrespecting his woman. I didn't know Paradise had trailer trash, but Billy Bob is the epitome of the stereotype. Billy Bob has a boat. A 30 fishing boat to be precise. Of course, that side of the duplex only has 15 of dockage. Since we have so much dockage and only one boat, we rent out the other dockage spots as month to month. People come and go, so if we don't receive rent from them by the end of the month and the boat disappears, we think nothing of it. We had a renter who tied up their boat on the property line, but Billy Bob wanted to park his boat and needed that space. Karen and Billy Bob posed as us. We were out of town, told the renters to be gone at the end of the month, and then parked Billy Bob's boat on the dockage. I only found out about it weeks later because the renter left a nasty review on the rental site we use. They said we were rude and went back on the verbal agreement to let them stay for 3 more months. I was like, what the fuck is all this? After a phone call, I quickly put 2 and 2 together. I called the cops, who told Karen and Billy Bob they need to move their boat or it would be towed, the equivalent of it anyway. Karen and Billy Bob started screaming the boat is fully on their property, it isn't, then changed to no one can own the water, true, but a seawall is deeded, that we are liars, and at some point Billy Bob punched a cop and went to jail. I felt bad for the cops, so took them all snacks the next day with a note apologizing for neighbor drama. I ended up winning my small claims suit against them for lost rental income, but of course haven't seen a dime. I eventually convinced the dockage renters to come back and gave them a few months free as compensation. Final revenge. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Get ready for a juicy justice boner. So with the collapsing market, we were trying to figure out what to do with our savings when a perfect opportunity opened up. The landlord who owned both properties was in desperate need of some cash, and was tired of managing the property from 2,000 miles away, because of course Karen is a Karen and called him weekly for every little thing. His only stipulation was we let the poor single mom, who has been his renter for 8 years, finish her lease, which is up in July. Since we just have money we were trying to reinvest, and because now we get to control our neighbors, heck yeah, we jumped on that. Since we didn't need a realtor or mortgage, and an inspection had been done just a year ago for the old landlord to refinance, everything closed in just under 2 weeks. Karen was aware of a change of ownership. We registered the property under an LLC, but didn't know who, until 8 days ago. I went over to Karen's house and knocked on the door. Karen answered with a "What the fuck do you want, cunt?" I smiled, handed her our landlord information, and sweetly reminded her rent was due by Friday, but she could just hand me the check if that was easier. I've always heard descriptions of people's faces turning white, but this was the first time I have actually seen it. I told Karen that we are honoring her lease until the end of July, but afterwards she had better make plans to move because we instead to remodel it before these next tenants moved in. Bye bitch. Asshole manager destroyed my childhood game store, so I got him fired. I judge card games from local to world championships. For several games, I was head judge at the world championships. The town I grew up in had a game store. It was ran by a husband and wife, and eventually their kids joined in on the fun. And it was a lot of fun. Every night there would be no tables open, and for bigger tournaments they would rent out vacant storefronts in the shopping center to fit everyone that would come. Eventually they moved the store to a bigger store, and it would just keep growing. Some, that grew up in the area and played at the store, eventually had kids of their own, and they played in the store too. It became a tradition. This is the place that you took your kids to their first RPG game, or where you buy them their first booster packs. The only Friday nights that this store would be empty was if there was a big football game at the high school. The reason the store was so popular was because of the couple. They were never flashy, and they treated everyone as if they were the best player in the world. They'd give away free snacks, sodas, booster packs for every little occasion, and sometimes just because. They were more than patient with players, helping them build decks, and helping people get better at the games. They also knew and were able to teach every game they sold in the store. I can walk in any day, and there would be several RPG groups, and rows after rows of people playing all sorts of games. Didn't matter if I bought anything or not, I can stay from open to close and not spend a dime, and they would still treat me like I dropped $1 million. It was Nerdvana. It was also the store where I judged my first event after I got my initial certification. And the husband had me as a judge for almost every event, and he would compensate me half a box of booster packs for the smaller events up to 2 boxes for bigger ones. For one really big release weekend he gave me 6 boxes of booster packs and paid me. His wife was equally amazing and loved her nerds, as she affectionately calls us, more than he did. She would bake cakes for birthdays. Every day for the week leading up to Christmas there would be a tin of cookies always stocked and baked the night before. If people got in a jam and needed a last-minute sitter, they could leave the kids at the store, and she would warn the parents she'll watch them, but she'll also teach them collectible card games. I think this is also why the store made so much money. There was a rumor the store actually belonged to her. Life happened and eventually I ended up living in a city about 3 hours away, and a few years ago, I heard the wife died, and the husband couldn't bear being in the store because everything reminded him of her, so someone else was running the store now. I planned on visiting the store, but being 3 hours away, I just couldn't make a casual trip there as a round trip would be 6 hours. Around the middle of last year, the store announced they were going to host a major qualifying tournament. This generated a lot of buzz. People from all over the region were making plans to travel to it. I thought this would be a great time to visit the store, so I made plans to go to. About 2 weeks before the event, I got an email from the publisher asking me to judge the event. I thought this was odd, as for store-level events the store fields the judges and the publisher doesn't get involved at all. Also, while there are a number of us judges, we're not so numerous that we don't know each other. So, I knew there was enough judges in the store's area that should be able to handle event. I wrote back saying, I was hoping to be able to play, but shouldn't there be judges in the area that would be able to do this? They wrote back with there should be, but the store owner said he couldn't get anyone even with the list we sent him. Red flag. They ended with the email with, you should talk to the other judges from the area and see if you can more of the story. I wrote back with give me a few days to think about it. I immediately started contacting the judges in the area. They all told me the same story. The store was sold to Guy and he was great, it was manager that was the problem. He was a judge as well, but he thinks he knew better than everyone else. The manager was he would override obviously correct ruling because he was buddy with the person the judge ruled against. Apparently, this also happened at a major regional tournament. Now one of the reasons I judge instead of play is judges are pretty well compensated, now anyways, not just with booster box and our pay, but we also get some pretty sweet exclusive promos and swag. This asshole manager was hoarding judges' promos for himself. The judges found out about this after they went to a major event, and another judge was talking about a sweet swag he got. The area judges put 2 and 2 together and realized what was going on. After this happened, judges that lived in the area all agreed they wouldn't judge under him ever again. This wasn't the worst of it, he would harass players, saying they can't bring any outside food or drinks. Tell them they have to buy products if they want to play in the store. He would harass the RPG players, telling them they have no life, and they're just wasting valuable time they could be using to play better games. Needless to say, people tried to avoid him. But as the owner would sometimes run the store himself, no one can be sure when the manager from hell would be around. I was livid. This was the store I grew up in, this was the store I learned to play and mastered all my favorite games. And this prick was killing the store. I started to formulate a plan. I wrote to the publisher and told them I'll do it. Also, what was the judge's swag for this event? They wrote back, really grateful, as they would have had to pull the event if I didn't agree to it, and told me everything I would get for judging. They even told me they'll throw something in special for me for helping them out. I wrote back asking for a specific item. I knew that the asshat manager would definitely want, and I could use to trap him. The publisher wrote back saying, yes, they would include that in the tournament kit as well. The day of the event, I woke up at the ungodly hour of 5 a.m., got ready, and left the house at 7 a.m., and made the 3-hour drive to my home store. I got there, and there were already a line wrapping around the store. I said hi to people I knew from the store, and those I met at larger events. It was like a mini homecoming. I walked in and the new owner, the manager and 2 other judges was there, and went over the day. The manager started saying that he's a level mid-tier judge, and that was the highest in the area right now, so he would be the head judge for the event, and what he says is final. I told him that I was a higher tier judge, on top of that I had several advanced roles qualifications. He said I was bullshitting him until I showed him my certification. He said he's still head judge, because he was the manager of the store and people in the store respects his authority. I had to stifle a laugh. Then I told him before I start, I would like my judge's swag. Now normally I get this at the end of the event, because I don't want to carry it around all day. But given this guy's records, I wanted to give this guy as little chance as possible to steal what was owed to me. He started hemming and hawing, and said he hasn't pulled the kit yet. I told him pull it, open it and give me my swag, or I will be walking away, and I tell the publisher and this tournament will be invalidated. The owner tried to reason with me, but I was firm. I hated doing this to the owner, he hasn't done anything wrong. From what I heard, he was trying to continue the traditions and practices the original owners established. But I knew I need to be an asshole to save this store's community from the manager. The manager finally came out and gave me my swag. I looked it over, and I knew this wasn't everything that was promised to me. And I said as much. Then I pulled the email from the publisher that listed everything I was supposed to receive, including the special swag. The manager said he couldn't find it all, and the owner begged me to wait until the end of the event so he can make it right. I stood firm and demanded my stuff. I listed everything, and this time I also listed the special item I requested from the publisher. The manager went pale. The owner looked at the manager and said, "You said you got that when you judged that big event a few months ago." I pulled up the email where I requested the item and where the publisher it would be included and showed it to the owner. The owner exploded. He demanded to see the entire packing list for the kit, and sure enough, my promised item was in there. Then I told the owner everything the other area judges told me, and the owner got redder and redder. Finally, I told the owner and manager that unless I get the items I was promised by the publisher, I would call the police and report the theft. Then walk out and make sure everyone outside knew what happened. The owner demanded the manager give me what was owed to me. He walked back and brought out everything that was listed in the email, plus the special item that was promised to me. The owner then fired the manager and apologized to me profusely for what just happened and asked me to please judge. I agreed, started the tournament, and apparently, it was the best ran tournament the store had since the change of ownership. No one walked away complaining. All the rulings was fair, and it even ended early. When I got home, I sent an email to the publisher with the tournament report, as well as an explanation as to what happened. I also sent a long email apologizing to the owner for my shitty behavior. The owner wrote back saying he understood why I did it, and he was actually grateful I was able to help him see the truth. The fallout. The asshole manager and was stripped of his judge certification. Also, the guys he tried to help cheat was given bans from the game. The owner hired one of the area judges to manage the store, and it's slowly going back to what it was before the reign of asshole manager. In the grand scheme of things, this wasn't some huge injustice that was righted, but this store is like family to me, and you don't mess with my family. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.